Today on Public Eye News, the UP 200 Dryland Dash comes to Negaunee, and an assistant principal calls a 9-year-old the N-word.
Later in the show, I'll be back to take a look at our forecast for the week ahead, and later Mike Banks has the latest on sports. Hi, I'm Todd Rose.
And I'm Joseph Sigourney, and this is Public Eye News. A Korean War Army veteran in Hancock was honored this afternoon with a Purple Heart. The ceremony took place at the Hancock American Legion, and many different veterans and active servicemen came to watch the ceremony. 93-year-old Gordon Wittian is receiving the Purple Heart for wounds he received during the operation during the Korean War. Paperwork for Wittian's Purple Heart was lost in the 50s, and he recently received the medal in the mail. The formal ceremony was put on this afternoon and put together by his son. Wittian retired as a sergeant from the Army in 1966 after serving his country for 21 years. The annual UP 200 Dryland Dash is coming up this Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th in the Negaunee Township. It's your chance to see how sled dogs run when there is no snow, and the event is a competitive race with a purse of $2,000. In addition to the competition, it also serves as training for the dogs and their owners. Again, the Dryland Dash is this Saturday and Sunday at the Negaunee Township Hall. There's a fun run on Saturday, and is also a fundraiser for the Upper Peninsula Animal Welfare Shelter. 50% of the money raised will be donated to the UPAWs.
And technology is an ever-changing thing, as we all know, and with the advent of new technology comes new ways to communicate, and one way of communicating now, as we're all well aware or using ourselves extensively, is social media. With the prevalence of social media, Escanaba Public Safety says it is important to stay up to date on the many different platforms available. For the department itself, it uses its social media pages to warn of road closures and other kinds of traffic delays. The state police also are taking advantage with a new app that can be found on Google Play and the App Store, which keeps users up to date with alerts. And the Iron County Board of Commissioners met yesterday afternoon to discuss propositions for the 2020 budget, as well as the current 2019 one as well. Despite the meeting, decisions regarding both budgets have been postponed. Currently, the county sits at a $70,000 deficit, though it is now down $274,000 because of line vetoes at the state level. Talk then turned to the 2020 budget, where the county is looking at making further cuts to avoid a $374,000 deficit. The next budget meeting will be Tuesday, October 22nd at 8 a.m. at the Iron County Courthouse. The budget for 2020 has to be submitted by December 15th.
The Michigan State Police Gladstone Post is investigating a theft at a wedding last weekend. According to a Facebook post, all of the cash gifts were stolen from a young couple, Alex and Brittany Barnett, celebrating at the Terrence Bay Hotel between Escanaba and Gladstone on Saturday, October 5th. In a statement to the TV6 and Fox UP, Rick Elrod, the marketing director for the Terrace Bay Hotel and Freshwater Tavern, said, quote, "We are doing whatever we can to assist with the investigation and hope sincerely that they find whoever took the money," end quote. Police say it's an open investigation and they're not releasing any details at this time. Thousands of licensed professional counselors in Michigan could soon lose their ability to practice, leaving hundreds of thousands of patients without care. This due to a recent proposal from the state's Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs that would no longer allow LPCs to diagnose patients. The proposed rule changes were brought up this Friday during a public hearing hosted by the LARA. Hundreds of LPCs were on hand to testify any changes to their ability to practice. In the Upper Peninsula alone, dozens of LPCs would lose their ability to practice, and thousands of patients would lose the care they need. And right after this break, we'll be back with national and international news.
Whether by land, by air, or by sewer, these modern migrators are joining the daily commute.
Please mind the gap.
In and out of our cities. And while they face unfamiliar dangers, the rewards can be worth it. With one paw in the wild and one hoof in the city, these clever commuters are making the best of life in the wild metropolis.
Tonight at 10 on WNMU TV.
And welcome back for more Public Eye News. The parents of a 9-year-old student in Maine are outraged after their child's elementary school's assistant principal used the N-word while trying to reprimand the student. The student had been sent to the office for bullying another student, and once in the office, the assistant principal asked the student how he would feel if he was called the N-word. The assistant principal has since apologized to the family, stating she did use the word, but the school district superintendent went on to say that the word was not used with malicious intent. The family, however, believe their son was being targeted. And President Trump is fighting back against the impeachment inquiry looking into his phone call with Ukraine's president. White House lawyers have officially declared they will not cooperate with the investigation. Nicole Killian has more for us from the White House.
The Trump administration is objecting to a Democrat-led impeachment inquiry in the House. In a letter to top congressional Democrats, the president's White House counsel called the inquiry unconstitutional.
I think the American people have a profound sense of fairness, and I think that they know a sham investigation when they see it, and they know a kangaroo court when they see it.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi fired back in a statement saying, "Mr. President, you are not above the law. You will be held accountable."
The president is obstructing Congress from getting the facts that we need. That is an abuse of power for him to act in this way.
The president continues to label his rivals as do-nothing Democrats and says their total focus is the 2020 election.
Democrats have been pursuing impeachment from even before President Trump was sworn into office.
Democrats say it's the president who's focused on 2020.
This is one of the few impeachment inquiries in the history of our country. It goes to the core of whether the president abused his office to seek political help in his re-election campaign.
But both sides are using impeachment to raise money for the upcoming race.
They want to steal this one.
The Trump campaign has spent more than $700,000 on Facebook ads this week alone. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Bernie Sanders began reintroducing himself to the 2020 campaign on Tuesday, venturing outside his Vermont home to say he doesn't plan on leaving the presidential race following last week's heart attack. Sanders' campaign has said he will be at next week's Democratic presidential debate in Ohio, but he hasn't commented on if or when he'll resume campaigning before that or what his next steps will be. NBC News announced it would air an interview with Sanders, his first since his heart attack last Wednesday. Turkish forces are invading Syria, launching a military operation against Kurdish fighters. It comes days after the White House announced it was pulling troops from the region. Natalie Brand reports from the Pentagon.
Smoke could be seen rising along the Turkish-Syrian border moments after Turkish warplanes began carrying out airstrikes on civilian areas in northern Syria. This video appears to show people, including women and children, fleeing. Turkey's president says the operation is aimed at eradicating the threat of terror against his country. The military offensive comes just days after President Trump abruptly withdrew U.S. troops from outposts near the Syrian border.
We had 50 in the region that you're talking about, 50 soldiers, and they've been already moved out.
A U.S. official confirms to CBS News that all U.S. troops are out of the area where the incursion is taking place and says the U.S. is no longer coordinating with Turks on air operations. Republican lawmakers who have blasted the pullout of U.S. forces worry about the Kurdish fighters who have been a U.S. ally in battling ISIS. Senator Lindsey Graham called the situation a disaster in the making.
I hope that Turkey, when they go into Syria, they won't slaughter the Kurds. And I will say this to the president. It would be hard to protect America without allies over there. And the Kurds have been good allies.
A spokesman for the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces tweeted there is huge panic among people in the region and appealed to the U.S. to protect them from Turkish attacks. A U.S. official told CBS News the U.S. will defend its troops on the ground, but otherwise does not intend to shoot down Turkish aircraft. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the Pentagon.
And right after this break, Todd Rose will be back with our weather and Mike Banks with our sports.
The Quietest Place on Earth, Thursday night at 10.
And welcome back to Public Eye News. Once again, Todd Rose here to take a look at your weather. As you can see behind me, green grass and sunshine out on the Academic Mall, but those colors are starting to change on the trees, and this weekend will be a great time to go take a look for yourselves. Looking at our current conditions, it's sunny outside right now, as we just saw. Temperature 66 degrees with winds south at 16 miles an hour. Our barometric pressure 30.08 inches and falling. Moving into tonight, the skies are going to stay clear. The temperature is going to drop into the low 50s with 52, and winds south at 12 miles an hour, staying roughly the same as they are now. Moving tomorrow, we do have some clouds moving in with a high of 65 and winds south-southeast at 10 miles an hour, but for all purposes, pretty much the same as we're seeing today. Looking around the UP, over in Sault Ste. Marie, it's 66 degrees, 65 in Manistee, and we continue to fall into the lower 60s, 64 and 63 in Escanaba and Menominee. All those places seeing sunshine, and as we move into the western half of the UP, we see the temperatures start to climb back up with 67 in Iron Mountain with mostly cloudy skies, or mostly sunny skies, I should say. And in Iron Wood, we're seeing 68 sunny, Houghton 72 and sunny, and back here in sunny Marquette, it is 69 degrees. Looking ahead into the weekend, Friday, we're going to see a high of 63, low of 35 with some rain moving in. Saturday, a high of 45, low of 35, and mostly cloudy skies. And Sunday, going to be very much the same with a low of 36, high of 46, mostly cloudy skies again. And Mike, as we're getting into cooler temperatures, of course, cooler temperatures means perfect football weather. And we got the perfect rivalry game shaping up this weekend.
Yes, we do. The Wildcats heads to conference rivals home, Michigan Tech Huskies, to play for the Miners Cup. After a 27-14 loss at home to Wayne State last week, the Wildcats look to improve their record this weekend. Freshman Taekwon Cox had a great game, having NMU's first kick return since the 2016 season. Last time the Wildcats played the Huskies, it was a close game, and the Huskies won 35-33. Last night, the Red Wings faced off against the Ducks at the Little Caesars Arena. Despite having the lead in the beginning of the third period, the Red Wings gave up 3 goals in the period. John Gibson made 31 saves as the Ducks gave the Red Wings their first loss of the season. Jacob Silverberg had a goal and an assist for the Ducks. Jimmy Howard had made 26 saves for the Red Wings. Next we have a great game for Thursday Night Football with the New York Giants facing the New England Patriots. The Patriots had started the season perfect as they start off 5-0, while the Giants are 2-3 being a young team. The Giants will be without their star running back as Saquon Barkley is ruled out for Thursday's game. Last time these two teams played, it was a win for the Patriots 17-12. So Joe, I heard you have a story about dogs for us.
Yeah, get this. So a South Carolina man says his dog is to thank for saving his life. Brian Rand, a Vietnam veteran, was awoken by his dog, Curly, when a fire broke out in their residence. If not for Curly, Rand says he wouldn't be alive. Well, and that's all the time we have here on Public Eye News. I'm Joseph Sigourney.
I'm Michael Banks.
And from all of us here at Public Eye News, thank you for tuning in. All right.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.